What is going on, everyone? In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use OpenAI's API in order to integrate ChatGPT or to create your own ChatGPT in a React application. Now, we're going to use Express as a dedicated server. So we're going to create a little server in Node.js. So you need to have Node.js installed. If you don't have Node.js installed, then please check out the video down in the description or check it out on my channel. It's a pretty short video how to install Node.js, and also please have the latest version installed. Now let me just quickly show you what this application does. It's basically exactly like ChatGPT. For example, if I would ask it what is React, then it's going to take a couple of seconds, and there we go. React is a JavaScript library for building user interfaces. Let's ask it another question, and as you can see, it's not typing it out one word at a time as ChatGPT does, because I don't have that type effect integrated. That's basically all. It's waiting for the entire code to be sent to me, or the entire script to be sent to me, and then it's going to pop out. So for example, you can also ask it, what is JavaScript? And let's say JavaScript is a scripting language used to create and control dynamic website content. So hope you're excited. If you are, give this video a thumbs up, share it with others, and also subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell. So let's get started with the project. Okay, so I just have here a empty folder called code, and within here, I'm going to now open up the terminal and create, first of all, a React application. Now, hope you know how to create a React application, npx create -react -app. And I could create it within here, but I'm going to create, let's say, chat-gpt -app as a completely new project. Now, this is going to take a couple of seconds until it's installed. In the meantime, let me tell you that you do need a OpenAI account. If you don't have one created, I'm going to create a short video on how to do that, but it's pretty simple. And also, you're going to need your API key. Now, please don't show that API key to anyone. And normally, you would integrate that key in a env file. Now, we're going to do it the quick and dirty way. So you should go in the meantime to OpenAI, openai.com, and here is where you can then create an account. You can go to products, overview, get started, and there's going to prompt for your login. Now, I'm not going to do this. I'm already logged in. I already have my key ready. So the application is ready. Let's cd into ChatGPT and let's npm start. And this should now start up. I already have it running. I'm going to start it on a different port, localhost 3002 in my case. Close this up. So this is our application. I'm going to delete everything, and first things first, we are going to create within our ChatGPT another file. You can also create it outside. This is the front end. Normally you would create a backend, a server outside here, but again, I'm going to do it the quick and dirty way. So I'm going to create here a server.js file, and this is where the server will live. Now, in order to create our server, we need to bring in a couple of things. We need to bring in Express, we need to bring in Course, we need to bring in body-parser, and we need to bring in our OpenAI. So, and we will also need axios. So I'm going to do the following. Let me go up here, make this larger. I'm going to start a new terminal. We are in code, so you need to cd into React ChatGPT, into ChatGPT app. And within here, we're going to npm install, and we're going to install Express, which is basically used for creating Node.js servers. Then we're going to install OpenAI, basically installing them all at once. OpenAI. And OpenAI is just a Node.js library that provides convenient access to OpenAI's API from Node.js applications. And also, most of the code in this library is generated from a OpenAI's is generated for specific OpenAI. Now, we also need to install body-parser, body-parser, which is just a middleware. The body-parser will parse, as it says, incoming requests for bodies in middleware before you handle them. So it is available under the request. When we're adding our request response, we're going to get our res.body properties. And what else do we know? Oh yeah, we need course, not course, just CORS, which is a Node.js package for providing connect /express middleware that can be used to enable course with various options. So, and I also need axios. Okay, because we're going to create the connection that way. So that's pretty much it. Let's hit enter and now take a look in your package.json and we'll start seeing them appear right here. Okay, so we got OpenAI, we got Express, we got Course, we got body-parser, we got axios, and yeah, we can get started. So I'm going to close up our package.json and now we can start creating our server. Basically, we're going to bring in Express. I'm going to require it from Express. So open close parenthesis, Express. We're going to copy this, replace this with Course. We also need Course. We need our body parser, and this should be here -np. And I'm also going to bring in OpenAI, and from OpenAI, I'm going to destructure here const the configuration, and also the OpenAI API. Okay, I'm going to bring this in from require OpenAI. Okay, now next up, we're going to use our configuration because basically we're going to create a config variable here, which is then going to create, which will then assign to a new configuration. And in our configuration, this is basically just going to take in a object which is going to take in the OpenAI key. Now, as I said, you will need your OpenAI key here. So we're going to paste it in a string. Now, where do you get your OpenAI key? I'm also going to do a separate video on this. You're going to go to OpenAI and you're going to go to guidance. Where's our keys? And from keys, you're going to create a new key, copy and paste it in here. Okay. Now this key will not work because I'm going to delete it. So just create your own key. Okay, we got that part done. Now let's go down here and create another const. We're going to call this OpenAI. And we're going to assign this to a new OpenAI object. So new OpenAI API object. Wait, OpenAI. Oh yeah, I would suggest that you just let this puppy learn itself that this is a new expression. You're going to use it in the future. And we're going to pass in here our config. So this config will be passed into our OpenAI API because basically this is our key. This is your password. This is everything that you need in order to connect to your application. Now, again, this key, as I said, is a quick and dirty way. You should always add it to a .env file and access it that way. So not through here. Okay, so let's move on. We have our const OpenAI, we have our OpenAI created here. Now let's set up our server. Basically, I'm going to create another const app. We're going to assign it to Express. We're going to initiate here Express. Then we can use on our app now our use property, and we're going to now use our body parser. And for the body parser, basically when we're going to get information, as you saw in our finished application, we want to get text information. So for this, we need to use JSON. Okay. So when we're going to get information, is going to be in the JSON format, and then we're going to use on our app use and course, as I said, also initiated here. Course will then provide the Connect Express middleware. Okay, so this is set up. All we need to do now is to create our endpoint. So we're going to create our app. This is where our front end is going to communicate with our back end, and we're going to say post. So the app.post, we're going to have here /chat. This is when we're going to create. We're going to connect to our backend. We're going to connect to this /chat, meaning that we're going to have our address, our localhost, and going to define the port just in a couple of seconds. But /chat is where it's going to connect to. Now we're going to use here a asynchronous function. As I said, request and response, because to our request we can now add our body. So we're going to provide with an arrow function. We're going to the structure here our prompt, because we are going to prompt having problems spelling P-O-U, and we're going to destructure this from request.body. Now on completion, I'm going to create here another variable called it completion. I'm going to await from the OpenAI and this has a property called create completion. And within here, we're going to pass in a couple of properties that this completion has. So key value pairs are, first of all, the model. The model that we're going to use will be the DaVinci, so text dash the You can also check this out in the documentation of OpenAI. So we're going to use the Da Vinci language model. It's going to have a max tokens of 512. The temperature will be, this is basically from the documentation, so want to read more about it, go ahead. Temperature will be 0. The prompt, as you saw up there, will be assigned to the prompt. And we're almost good to go. We just need our response will be then a send. We're going to send that data as completion.data.choices, and we're going to select our very first choice because that is the string, which is JSON, and we're going to convert it to text. Okay, so from that choice, we're going to select the text. Okay, so let's start up our server. For this, we're going to need a port. I usually assign it to a port here of 8020, the 8020 principle, so 8020. And we can now use our app.listen to the port, so the variable that I just created, port. And now we're going to create a callback function and pass in here our console log of, in a string, server running on port. And I'm going to pass in here a port with a variable of port. Okay. So if the server will run successfully, I'm going to see down here a prompt of server is running. So let's start our server. I'm going to go ahead and say node server.js. And I have an error here, console log. Well, it seems that I do need to pass you into curly brackets. Now let's try this again. So node server.js. Still up. Sorry about that. Now post port. Okay. Node server.js. This is basically the file that, okay, and server is running on port 8020. Perfect. Now let's take care of our front end. We're going to leave the server running and we're going to go into our front end now. I'm going to delete here a couple of things. You know what? I'm going to leave them in there. Also, the code is down in the description below, and a very important part of the code will be the CSS part. Now, for those of you that have already taken my React course, the React projects course, 30 projects in React, you should already have the entire CSS. The part of the CSS that we are going to need, I'm going to copy and paste it in here, and I'm going to leave it as always. The entire code is on my blog, and the link to that will be down in the description below. So first things first, I'm going to paste in here the CSS, and I'm going to paste also from the index.js. I did make a couple of modifications, and boom. So that's pretty much it for the CSS. Now let's go to our app.js. I'm going to delete everything that is in here. I'm going to create a new component. Let's create a new folder. First of all, in source component. In components, we're going to create a ChatGPT component.jsx. Start with a capital letter. Okay, RFC, and we're going to bring in React here, and we're also going to bring in our use state. So from React, we're going to bring in use state, and we're also going to import axios from axios. Now, I'm going to destructure here. We're going to use state to destructure two things. First of all, we're going to have a state for our prompt and a state for our response. So let's create a state for prompt and set prompt. We're going to decide to use state, and this will be empty, just an empty string. So the initial state will be an empty string. Now, please remember, when we are prompting, this will be our prompt, basically the input here. We're prompting ChatGPT, we're sending information over to ChatGPT, and it should send it back. So over to OpenAI, actually, using our API, using our server. Now, let me close this one up. When we're sending this, we're setting something. We're setting a prompt, and then we will need a response. So I'm going to copy this and change this to response, and also set response. Just an R there. And this is what we're going to get back, a response. Now let me close up the left part. Also drag this down to the bottom. Now let me also import this ChatGPT into our app. CSS, close this up, and our app. We're going to have here our ChatGPT. This is going to be ported up there. If it's not automatically imported for you, then you need to just import ChatGPT from components ChatGPT, and you should now see it in your application up here with ChatGPT, because basically this is the title that we added. Okay, now down here I'm going to add to this just going to go really quickly, a bit of styling that is automatically added because of the CSS that you will have in there. So let's add to this a class of container, which just add some automatic margins and alignments. And I'm also going to add a container and -sm for a small container, then an all-around padding of 1. Hit save, and you should see this move down to the right a bit. Next, I'm going to go add a little space here, create an h1 with a class of title, and also a class of text center, and then a class of text and dark green. Okay, so this is basically just a couple of classes that I created. Now paste the ChatGPT in there. So we're just doing just a bit of UI UX design. Now comes the important part. We're going to create our form. This form will not have any kind of action, but it's going to have a class with form in it. And now comes the important part. We're going to submit this form. We're going to handle the submit handle. And now the application will break. So let's create our handle submit. Okay, we're going to move up here, const handle submit. We're going to assign it to an arrow function, and we're also going to pass in here the event, because the first thing that we need to do is event.prevent the default behavior of submitting the form. And now we're going to use axios. So axios, and first things first, we're going to use our post request on it. So when we're posting, we're basically bringing information from the server. Now the server that we created is on our local host 2000. You can see here, the server is running on our local host 2080. So we need to add that server, add that entry point. I'm going to add it up here as a const HTTP. I'm going to assign it to our HTTP columns / local host and 8020 and / as I said, chat is very important. Okay, now I'm going to add this HTTP down here in our post using backticks, $ variable, paste the HTTP request in here, and we're going to also add here the prompt, basically this little state that we just created up there, because it's sending here a post request. Okay, so we're sending the post request to this address, and the request that is sent will be the prompt. After that, then we're going to await for a response, and that response will have a set response as the state, and that response will call upon the data. Now, if we have an error, then we want to catch it. So we're going to do here catch and error, and again, arrow function. And if we have an error, then I want the console log that error. Okay, so pretty simple Axios request. Okay, so where are we sending our prompt? Now, this prompt sending will happen in a form, in a input tag. So I'm going to create here a form-group. This is just for styling purposes. Form group, and this form group we're going to have a label with ask questions. Oops. There we go. There's our label, and after that label, we're going to have an input tag. The input tag is going to have the type of text. Also, you can delete it. It's automatically text if you wish. I'm also going to give this the class of shadow-sm and a place. Whoops, what am I doing here? And a placeholder of enter text or enter question, whatever. Now, the value of this will be our prompt, our state up here. So whatever we're going to pass in here as a value will be then added to the state and will be sent right here in our post request. Okay. Now, in order to change the value of our input tag, we're going to need a onChange event listener here. So on our onChange, we're going to handle prompt. Our handle prompt will be up here. So whoops, const handle prompt, and we're going to assign this to a function. We're going to take in the event, and this is just going to set the prompt to whatever e.target.value is going to be passed in here. Okay, pretty simple. So let's just try this out. Okay, we can type in there. This means that this handle prompt is working. And next we will need some kind of display when we're going to get our results. So right after the form, we're going to create another div with the class of bg dark green, and also a margin top of 2 and a padding of 1, and border is a border radius of 5. So basically I'm just using my own CSS. Now this is going to include a paragraph tag with a class of text light, and let's just hit enter for now. Not text. There we go. So text light, there we go. And within here, well, we're going to have our response. So we're going to add here our response, but also going to create here a condition. So if there is a response, then I'm going to display that response. But if there's no response, because we don't have any kind of response at the moment, then we're going to display here, ask me anything. Boom, there we go. So we don't have a response. It's going to ask us everything. So let's try this out. Let's ask it some kind of questions. How to subscribe to a YouTube channel. And let's see if this works. There we go. Go to the YouTube channel you want to subscribe to, then click on subscribe button. Look at below the channel's banner, free. If you're not already signed up to YouTube, you'll be prompted to sign up. So as you can see, ChatGPT is telling you to subscribe to my channel, and also click that notification bell in order to get notified whenever I post new videos like this. Also, if you want to support the channel, I have great courses on web development, JavaScript, SAS, CSS, HTML, beginner courses, advanced courses, React courses. Please check them out, support the channel, and catch you on the flip side. Bye-bye.